Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syazani Aqilah binti Khalid, and in this video, my partner Atika binti Yaakob and I are going to present our study, which is the representation of the major political parties in Senyum Kambing during the election campaign period in 2018. Political cartoons, as described by Hussein and Lee, provides short, witty and humorous depiction of various issues from education to law and to politics. However, not much is known regarding the political cartoon genre in Malaysia. There is a need to study this genre as, according to Sani, Marzia Hayati, Faiz Sati and Afida 2012, political cartoons genre contributes to the understanding of media representation of issues, people and events. So in Malaysia, an example of political cartoon would be the Senyum Kambing comic in Utusan Malaysia. So our study will be based on the Senyum Kambing cartoon, particularly during the election campaign period in 2018. Since the country gained independence in the year 1957, Malaysia had been under the leadership of the Barisan National Government. It was only in 2018 that Malaysia witnessed a regime change as BN was ousted and Pakatan Harapan coalition, which consists of 5 political parties, won over an unprecedented victory. So, our study is going to look at how the Senyum Kambing comic depict the political scene in Malaysia during this period.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Atika binti Yaakob, and in this video, I will be presenting on 3 parts, which are the research questions or the objectives, the first and second finding, and also the conclusion. For the objectives, this research aims to explore the identity of the participants, in which in this analysis is the politicians that the producer seeks to construct, in terms of which party is portrayed to be in a good side and also the party that is siding with the bad one. This research also aims to identify how the major political parties are being portrayed and represented in the comic. And it is important to study the representation of these political parties, as it will allow us to find out if by any chance that the Senyum Kambing is being used as a means of social agenda setting.
In carrying out the analysis, 10 comic strips with dates ranging from 28th of April to 11th of May 2018 were selected. There were actually 13 tags in total that we managed to gather from the dates. However, only tags were chosen to be analyzed, and the choices were made based on, first, the relevance of the content, relevance as in whether any references were made to any political parties and its members or not, and second, the choices were made based on the dates. So as you can see, we chose tags that are from the election campaign period from the 28th of April until 2 days after the election. And after the data collection, participants, processes and circumstances in the tags were identified. The analyses were conducted by using the formal, functional and social approaches, and the actions of the participants were analyzed using Halliday's transitivity analysis. This is because Halliday's framework enables actions to be made clear, that is, by revealing the action performed by whom and to what. The actions involved are significant in analyzing representation, as it will affect the construction of identity of the participant.
Next, moving on to the findings and discussion. So these are the findings that we managed to deduce from the analysis, which are the identity of participants, the representation of major political parties, and lastly, political cartoons as a means to set the social agenda, which is going to be presented by Syazani Aqilah. The first finding is the identity of the participants. So as you can see from the slide, This is the list of the participants that were being used in the 10 comic strips that were chosen in the analysis. The participants are Isa Samad, Tun M, and CAAM, Dr. Mahathir and Syarikat Vista Jet, Kambing, Hugh Kwan Yau, Lim Kit Siang, DAP and Orang Melayu, Amran Ahmad and DAP, Ulama and Umat Islam, Tun M versus Kit Siang and Guan Eng, and lastly Tun Dr. Mahathir, also being aliased as Perdana Menteri ke-7. To make it clearer for the understanding, let us see the portrayal of both the parties in the good and bad side in the comic. The first picture is depicting Isa Samad as the participant. In context, he is one of the BN members, which is one of the ruling parties at that time. As we could see from the comic, Isa Samad is being described by using positive adjectives and verbs, where it says that Isa Samad tidak berkecil hati, or he is not being disappointed or mad for not being nominated in the upcoming GE14. The positive response given to Isa Samad's ability to not being disappointed also implies that the producer is trying to construct Isa Samad as a good politician. The positive adjectives attributed to him portrays the good qualities of him, which is later would be mirroring the good qualities of the party that he is representing. The participant in the next comic is Amran Ahmad, and he is the ex-member of the opposition party, specifically DAP. The undeniable response given towards the Amran Ahmad's action on exposing the hidden propaganda of his previous party shows that he is agreeing to his action. Next, these two comic strips are representing the opposition party, which is the first one is Tun M and the second one is Dr. Mahathir. Both are the same person. So, during that time, Tun Dr. Mahathir was carrying the identity of the opposition party. The identity of this party is being constructed by using the verbs and the adjectives that carry negative connotation. The first one is didakwa, or as accused, and the response given is perbuatan tidak bermoral or immoral action, which is in this situation is representing the agreement of the producer and that the action done by Tun M is a negative action. The second comic strip attributed Tun M with the adjective terdesak or desperate. The response goes with apabila terdesak, berbohong pun sanggup, in which it implies that when someone is in the state of desperation, he could even go to the extent of being a deceitful person. Therefore, the negative verbs and adjectives that carry negative connotations would construct the identity of the opposition as the immoral and deceitful party. The second finding is the representation of major political parties in Senyum Kambing comic strip. The first one, the ruling party at that time, is being represented as a voice of the citizen, especially the Malays, as what we can see from one of the strips. And they are also being identified as the one who can carry the mandate of the citizen to rule the country, as they have always been for the previous 60 years. Next, the opposition party is being characterized as a deceitful and immoral party. The third one, the ex-member of the opposition party is being described as some sort of a savior towards the citizen, as they enable the citizen to know the hidden truth regarding the propaganda of the opposition party. However, different reaction was being seen towards Tun Dr. Mahathir. During the early period of the GE14 election campaign, Tun's identity was being associated as a betrayer and deceitful. This is due to his transition from someone who used to be in a ruling party to be able to work with his eternal nemesis. Next, Tun was being labelled as alat untuk DAP or the tool for the DAP to win the election. This labelling has somehow toned down the blame that was being put on him, and on the other hand, intensified the bad qualities of DAP for using him. Lastly, after the GE14, the producer has functionalized Tun M as Tun Dr. Mahathir and Perdana Menteri Ketujuh, which is either emphasizing the distress and disappointment of the producer as the opposition party has won the election, and was also to show a sense of respect towards Tun Dr. Mahathir for being a new Prime Minister.
To investigate whether the Senyum Kambing comic is used as a means of social agenda setting or not, we relied on a theory and a past research. So, according to Norazina, the agenda setting theory is a theory which foundation was set by Walter Lippmann, and it discusses the influence of mass media in making a certain issue an agenda that the members of society are concerned about. So, Sani et al. Has extended this theory in the context of political cartoon, and it is found that the thematic structure of a cartoon determines its communicative function. Therefore, in order to decide how cartoons set agenda, a pattern should be identified, as this pattern will show the thematic structure of the cartoon. And in our study, we found out that the text that we gathered adopted a specific pattern of theme, which was the political theme. As I mentioned earlier in the methodology section, there were 13 texts altogether that we gathered from the campaign election period, as well as 2 days after the election. However, out of the 13 texts, only 10 were chosen to be analyzed. Two were excluded as there were no direct references made to any political parties, but it focused on election in general, and one was excluded as it was about sports. So if we were to look at the whole thing, it can be said that out of the 13 texts, 12 actually made references to the current political scenes, which means that which confirms that there is a specific pattern, which means that there is also a possibility that Senyum Kambing is used as a means of social agenda setting.
To conclude, this research has found out that Senyum Kambing does carry political agenda, especially during the GE14 campaign period. And this could be seen from the different responses given to different figures, which technically showing the producer's bias in constructing the identity of a certain party. The producer has constructed the identity of the ruling party to be in a good side, while the opposition party is in a bad side. And that's all from us. Thank you.